Hey everyone, welcome back to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. All right, today is January 13th. If you're listening to this on the 13th, on the day the episode's released, if not, I still want you to listen to this episode because what I'm going to talk about today is the full moon, which is happening tonight. I think it's around, I want to say 5:15 p.m. Eastern time is when it's going to be at its fullest point. However, the energy is going to be sticking around until about the 20th. So even if you're not listening to this on the day that it comes out, still good information that you want to know. So the full moon, for me personally, it really, really, really affects me. Always has. I didn't know it until I started learning a little bit more about astrology, and had a little more awareness around it. And then I was like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's why, I kind of have a little bit of a freak out or a shitty behavior, like shitty attitude on those days. And so I actually started tracking it. And what blew my mind was the first time I made this connection. And I was looking back at the dates. I'm like, holy shit, like every time I've had like a major blowout with my husband, it's always on a full moon. Always. And so now that I know that, I'm like, oh my God, okay, so I can mentally prepare to, you know, just not throw myself into conflict. This is not where we're going to resolve anything. It's not where, you should be doing anything like that. Like you want to just kind of take some time to yourself, chill out, relax, go inward. A good time for like the whole self-care ritual if you want to make a whole night of it. But definitely not a time to go and try and like have a conversation with someone about the things that are bothering you. Now you can, like part of that, I say that, but I also say you don't want to hold on to your emotions. The full moon is all about releasing. However, when I saw this pattern and I'm like, oh, I just release everything, and then it's like this big, huge blow up fight, I could be a little more intentional about it and just give myself some space and find some other ways of releasing whatever this like pent up energy is. Okay, so I've noticed that it definitely affects me. And Quantum Catalyst, it's crazy like how much information I am uncovering and putting in that program that shows, science, research, world-renowned physicists that all have talked about astrology or consciousness or how we are all connected. And so in our modern society, and pretty much what I found is like since World War II, there was really this push away from all of this stuff, talking about spirituality, consciousness, astrology, where it all of a sudden became sort of like taboo and woo woo or new age, or witchcraft, or like all of these terms that had negative connotations at the time. And a lot of times like that affects people and they think like, oh, well, that's just a bunch of BS and none of it's real, but it is real. And there's a lot of interesting information that you can uncover when you dive into it. So anyhow, that's just for the skeptics. Like take it or leave it. I don't really care, but I know that it does affect me. And once I started becoming aware of these moon cycles and how to work with them, it's really changed a lot because again, instead of that energy just blowing up in a negative way, you can harness that energy and alchemize it to create your reality, to manifest more of what you want instead of just going off of default because you're completely blind to what's happening. So, this full moon tonight, I probably should have looked this up before I started the podcast, but I am going to look up the exact time because it always annoys me when I'm like on social media and someone's talking about the full moon and I'm like, okay, well, what day is it? And if they say it's on a Friday, does that mean it's Friday in the middle of the night? Does that mean it's Friday, like late afternoon? So I'm going to look it up for you. Okay, I was right. So 5:27 p.m. Eastern Time, according to NASA, is when January's full moon will reach peak illumination. But like I said, this energy is going to be around until about the 20th. And this full moon is pretty potent. Okay, so it's our first full moon of the year. And as I've said before, this year is going to be very transformational. We're in the age of Aquarius, and a recap for anyone that's kind of missed those past episodes, we're stepping into a new age, basically. And so a lot of old systems and old power structures collapse. There's revolution, and there's space that is cleared to make space for the new. And we're seeing that a lot, like all over the world, right? There's a lot of things that are collapsing. Truth is coming to light. That's another big thing. Nothing can hide. The truth comes out. And part of that truth is your truth and being fully authentic, being yourself, not wearing these masks so that you don't offend anyone, not walking on eggshells, telling people what you think they want you to hear. That's all gone. That's part of what is collapsing, and the truth is coming out. So obviously, as that transition happens, there's going to be a level of chaos, right? There's going to be some discomfort. There's going to be some negative things that come to light. And it's all good in the long run, but when you're in the thick of it, it's not so fun, right? It feels really shitty. And so with this full moon, this is going to be a big time where anything that's in the shadows is going to be illuminated. And that's really with any full moon. It is shining a light on the darkness. Okay. And this could be the darkness within you, within your relationships, within your circumstances. It doesn't matter. Like that's what the light is going to shine on. And this full moon is going to shine a light on any relationships where there needs to be something that comes to light. And this could be a very positive thing that comes to light. It could also be something negative, like maybe a truth that has been hidden for a long time or something like that. And so I was thinking about this a lot last night. And I was thinking, like, if you've ever been cheated on, for example, that's like one of the worst things you go through, right? It's like someone that you care about, that you think cares about you, does something like that. It's horrible. And I know a lot of people experience something similar to that in like at least one point in their life. Or if it's not in a romantic relationship, maybe it's like a friend that you found out isn't your real friend. They're talking bad about you behind your back or something like that. And it really sucks going through that. It's awful going through that. But then in the future, whether it's a few months or a few years, you look back at that and you think, oh my God, I'm so glad. I am so grateful that that came to light. Because imagine if it didn't, and I had no idea they did that, and I stayed with them in this relationship that's just not working. You know what I mean? And so it's like, as awful as it was at the time, it's like, well, thank God that happened, because that helped me move on and find my real true love or better friends or whatever it may be. So that is like kind of the theme, where it's like you always hear people say things are working for you, right? And it's true, like even the negative things. And I know I've said this so many times, you guys are probably sick of it, but in my corporate job, the worst experience of my whole time, my whole 12 years, was at the very end, where my boss was making my life a living hell. I mean, I felt like I was being interrogated by the fucking CIA every single day. She was breathing down my neck, just trying to find some kind of dirt on me because she wanted to get rid of me. And it was so awful. And I was having panic attacks. It was just a miserable experience that I don't wish upon my worst enemy. But looking back now, in a weird way, I know it sounds crazy, but in a weird way, I am grateful for this woman because had she not been so awful to me, I don't think that I would have had enough motivation to get out of that situation. I really, because I know myself and I know I would have just stuck with it and I'd probably still be there to this day and none of this would be happening. The podcast, meeting so many of you, everything that's come from that, having two more kids and being able to stay home with them and start a podcast with my daughter and just like all of these incredible things. I know, like, I have such a deep inner knowing that had I not gone through that, had she not been my manager at that point in time, I would still be there. So it was negative, it was bad, but on the other side of it was like the best thing that came from it. And so I'm saying all that to say that with the full moon, sometimes it's great. Sometimes there's like nothing, negative that comes out. But if it does, with this full moon or another full moon or any circumstance in life, if you could look at it as like you're in the valley, but on the other side of that is this huge hill that is so powerful and so positive that's going to lead you to the most incredible view you've ever seen. If you can just know that, it's a little bit easier to go through it. It's not like it's going to be easy, obviously, but you can just kind of have that knowing that everything's working out for me. And even though I don't understand it and I don't see it, the universe does, my higher self does, and there's more out there that I can't see at this moment. So that I don't want to like scare anyone because it's not like this full moon's gonna like wreck everyone's life, but we're just in this very transformational time. And this year, as you're stepping into this new reality, there's going to be bumps in the road. It's never just an easy thing when your whole life shifts. Things get shaken up and the things that aren't supposed to stay fall away. And that can be a little messy and hard, but it's all for your higher good, truly. So we just had the 111 portal, the 111, January 11th portal. And what's crazy with that is like the lunar nodes shifted, which literally signifies your reality shifting, which is just so wild because, again, we have the Quantum Catalyst course where we are shifting as we go. Like we all did our quantum water ritual on 111. And it's just this time of new beginnings. So it's no surprise right after that, we have this super powerful full moon that's in the sign of Cancer. And that makes it a very emotional time, very deep, reflective time. And that's a good thing because we just went through this shift, our collective conscious, whether you realized it or not, we went through a massive shift. We are on, I think we've gone through so many shifts in the last few months, but we are on this new timeline. And so things that aren't supposed to be in this new reality that you've manifested are going to fall away. And this is where they're going to be illuminated. And so you can kind of think of this as like the universe, your spirit guides, your higher self, however you want to look at it, God, shining a light on things that maybe you want to take a closer look at because maybe they're just not meant for you and it's time to let those things go. And so, like I said, I used a lot of examples with relationships, but this could be relationships, this could be jobs, this could be aspects of you that you just don't want anymore. Like for me, I'm so done with wearing masks and like pretending to be something that I'm not to make someone else comfortable. And that's part of this age of Aquarius. Like, I'm just done with it. I'm going to be me as raw and real as I can. And I know there's going to be things that people don't like. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Like, stepping into your true authenticity is what you're supposed to do. That is why we're here on earth. That is the key to doing whatever you're supposed to do here. Your mission here for the higher good. And if you're hiding it, behind these masks to make other people feel comfortable, you're always going to feel out of alignment. That's why they say authenticity is the highest vibration, higher than love or joy, because when you're not being your true, authentic self, you're going to feel a disconnect. There's going to be some shadow in the pit of your stomach that's always holding you back, whether you're conscious of it or not. And when you could just fully be true to you and you align with your purpose, you align with your higher self, you align with your reason for being here. And the byproduct of that is love, joy, fulfillment, abundance. You see? So, this is why it's so important. And this is where we're stepping into, whether you think you're going to step into it or not. Like, this is part of the time that we're in, this new era that we're in. So, this full moon could represent that. It could represent the aspects of you that are ready to be shed and you're ready to let go of them. All right. So, let's get into it. So, the full moon in Cancer, like I said, it brings heightened emotions, deep intuition. So, the things that are coming through, this is really important. I didn't know this for a very long time. It was actually Vanessa, my spirit guide, medium. She's not my spirit guide, but she helped me connect with my spirit guides. She was the one that told me, like, you are, what is it called? Claircognizant. And I think everyone is. I do. I don't think that these are gifts that are only given to a few people. I think we all have it. We're just so closed down to it that we ignore it. But she was saying with claircognizance, you think it's your thought, and it's not. It's a connection from, whatever, source, intuition, higher self. They're all interchangeable. But things that come through, you might think are your thoughts. You might even think that it's like you overthinking things or beating yourself up, but it's not. It might be your intuition that's bringing things to the surface that you haven't addressed, and now is the time to address it. So, a great time to really connect with your intuition. And one way to do that is through creativity. So, you want to activate the right hemisphere of your brain. You could do that with creativity. So, for like the night of the full moon or the week, whatever, what can you do to be creative? You might want to spend the night alone and just paint or dance or sing or write. This connects to your heart chakra if as you're writing, anything like that. Another thing that can activate it is using your imagination, getting in that playfulness. So, one of the girls that had done one of the workshops in the Manifest It Now app, this has been, gosh, probably like 2, maybe 3 years ago. But she said she holds these full moon parties at her house, not parties, but like a women's circle. And they all go outside and they like dance around the bonfire and just have fun. And they like howl at the moon and they just act like silly, you know what I mean? But it's like activating that playful energy. And it's a great way, it's a healthy way to release a lot of that energy that needs to come out with the full moon. Okay, so there's going to be a focus on your home, your family, and self-care. So that doesn't necessarily mean any of those things are going to come to the forefront, but that tends to be the focus with the full moon in Cancer. And Cancer's energy is, think of it as like inviting you to honor your feelings, good or bad, and nurture yourself. So maybe you're feeling really negative or really sad and you're not really sure why. You probably have these emotions that you've suppressed and you never let go of, and now they're stored in your body. And it's time to let those out. Have like a good cry session. Move your body. Anything you can do to move through that energy and just nurture yourself. Like give yourself the hug, the love that you didn't get whenever those feelings first came about and you just shoved them down. And so, with that being said, like, this is why you might want to spend the night by yourself if you can. as a mom of three, and like my two youngest ones are, I mean, they're young, like we are in the thick of it. I really try to do this. I really try to give myself space. So like when they go to bed, I'll just hang out by myself in my room, journal, listen to subliminals. If you can go for a walk or like anything to move your body, just try to give yourself the time to do that and space to be by yourself because if you are letting out emotions and you're crying and everything else, if you're like me, like I don't like doing that in front of other people. I know that's probably a thing that I need to look at deeper. I've always been that way, but just give yourself the space to do that. Like literally there's times where I'll just lock myself in the bathroom if I need, and that's like my little sanctuary. I'll just hang out in there. I've got like my candles and stuff in there. And sometimes that's my space for like full moon rituals. Um Giving yourself a detox. So like something that I really enjoy and honestly like I don't do it very often because we don't have like one of those big huge bathtubs like a lot of people have in their master bedroom or bathroom rather. We just have like the small ones. So I don't really do it that often, but doing an Epsom salt bath or putting baking soda or something like that that's really detoxing. Bentonite clay, that's another great detoxing agent. You could like give yourself a facial with it or take a bath and soak in it. It's a great way to detox and just chill and like let all that stuff let all that stuff go. So those are just some kind of like self-care things, some give yourself some space because if you have some emotions, the last thing you want to do is push them down further. They have to come out. What you resist persists. And if it's coming to the surface, it's coming to the surface for a reason. And fun little fact, tears actually have stress hormones in them. And so just think of your body as like ridding this stress, this tension that you don't need to hold on to anymore. Okay, so we're gonna release any emotions. Um, not a fun, but like a little ritual you could do is light a white candle. It doesn't have to be white, but white is very cleansing. My mom got me this Reiki candle, and it's a white cleansing candle, and I think you can order this brand on Amazon, but it's like a whole line of Reiki candles. I've used a whole bunch of them, and they're really, really good. But any candle will do. And what you can do, something that I really like to do with every full moon, you could do this inside in like a safe spot by a sink or like in your bath, or go outside and write the things that you want to let go of, things that you're holding on to, especially like resentment. Resentment's a big one with this full moon. I am like the queen of, I do that. And I know it, I'm aware of it. This is something I've been working on for a very long time, but I tend to avoid conflict and I'll try to let things go. So instead of addressing them, I will just like push it down and then it builds into resentment, which is not healthy. It's not good, but it's something that I definitely do. So if you do that too, write out all of these resentments that you're holding on to and you can burn them in the moonlight, like symbolizing that you're going to let them go. Now, just a little tip with this is once it's burnt, the ashes, ideally, you want to move them away from your property. Okay. You don't want to like leave them in your yard. So like I'll dump them over the fence. You can like flush them down the toilet, or if you're gonna throw them in the trash, like obviously make sure they're not still burning or whatever, and like put your trash out of the curb. Just get rid of that shit. Like get rid of it. Cleansing your space. This is always big with a full moon. So, energetically cleansing, you can use sage, Florida water, Palo Santo. You can also open your windows. I know it's cold, but just for a few moments to kind of let out some stagnant energy. And you can physically clean your environment. Like every time I vacuum or sweep or wash the floors or wipe down my counters, in my mind, I just imagine I'm wiping away any stale, old, stagnant energy. So those are all different things. You don't have to use sage if you don't want to. I personally don't like burning that kind of stuff too often. So you can, just clean your house. You can use Florida water, like whatever you want, but cleansing is good. This is even a time where you might want to like organize things, get rid of old clothes or just crap that's laying around your house that's been in the back of your mind bothering you. Just get rid of it. Okay. I went over taking a salt bath. Now, with a salt bath, something that you can do, you can even like put your crystals in the bath and it will cleanse them if you want to, and then set them out or in a windowsill to charge up in the moonlight. I try to remember to do that every single month. And then there's this like moon gazing, which is kind of interesting, but it's where you just go outside for a few minutes and you gaze at the moon and think of the moon just like it's charging and cleansing your crystals. Think of it as charging and cleansing your aura and your energy and just you as a being. It's really powerful doing this visualization, like how much it will shift your energy. Just taking a couple minutes to visualize your body, your electromagnetic field, like everything just getting cleansed and recharged is so therapeutic. I would absolutely try it. You don't have to do a long, drawn out meditation. You could literally do this for like a minute. And if it's freezing outside where you're at, go stand by the window and look out at the moon and do it. And then getting emotional clarity. So this is where like it's probably a good idea to have a journal near you where you can kind of ask questions. So a long time ago, I was taught about auto writing. I think it's called auto writing. And I thought it was crazy at the time. Like, I feel bad saying that now, but I thought it was like crazy because it's basically like, okay, you're writing, but it's not really you. Like, you're connecting with whatever. Again, interchangeable. Your intuition, source, God, your spirit guides, whatever needs to come through. But it is true. If you get in the practice of journaling a lot, you'll see, like, you'll write stuff and you're like, that is really profound. Like, that was not me. I do not talk that way. But this is where you can get a lot of emotional clarity because you just keep asking questions. So you could be saying, like, why do I feel this way? Maybe you've been feeling a certain way lately, really tired, really stressed, jealous, whatever. Why do I feel this way? And then just keep digging deeper. Why? Where does this come from? What is the root feeling or the root cause of this? And I always suggest just like don't overthink it. Just literally put your pen to paper and just let your hand write everything out because the other thing that this does is it really gets to what's on your subconscious mind. So there could be a memory that you don't consciously remember, but your subconscious has a perfect record of every memory you've ever had. So there could be a memory that comes through that makes no sense to you. You don't even remember it, or maybe it's very vague. You kind of remember it. And that could come through of something that you want to address and you want to release. So I kind of did this backwards. You should do the journaling first to get clear on what you want to release, and then do the candle, where you burn it if you choose to burn it. And if you don't want to burn it, I mean, you could like rip up the paper and throw it out. Just don't keep it lingering around. It's like you want to get rid of that energy. Okay, so that's what you want to do during a full moon, or some suggestions. You don't have to do them. But let's talk about what you don't want to do because I think this is just as important. So, like I said, don't bottle things up. Don't suppress the emotions that are coming through. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to scream, like if you have to go sit in your car or put your head in a pillow, do it. Like you're going to feel so much better. And if you bottle it up, like it is going to explode. You can't bottle up that energy forever. If you do, that's when it starts to manifest physically in your body. So get rid of it. Um, and if you don't want to seem like a crazy person, this is why, like, be by yourself, go for a drive in your car, like, whatever you have to do to process those emotions and just get them out. It's also not the time where you're going to want to start a new process, a new project, or like focus on manifesting something new. The full moon is really setting you up for that. So this is where you want to just focus on releasing, reflecting, not taking on new ventures and like diving into something new. That's more for the new moon. The full moon's kind of cleaning the slate. Think about it as cleaning the slate so that you can start fresh. Also, don't overcommit yourself. Like, don't make plans if you don't feel like making plans. If you made plans and you're like, I just want to be by myself and take my Epsom salt bath, cancel the plans. Like, don't do anything that you don't want to do. Don't put yourself in a situation where it's going to have a negative effect on your emotions or your energy. Just kind of like do what you feel like doing, even if that means telling someone no. It's better than doing something and then blowing up on them. You know what I mean? And then again, like reacting impulsively. So you're going to want to, but now that you have conscious awareness that shit might hit the fan and like whatever you're feeling might come out, you can kind of have that awareness to pause and to think like, how can I come back to this once I've moved through some of this energy? So give yourself some space. Like literally, I would just stay in your room by yourself if you can, at least for a few hours while you do your full moon rituals and stuff. And again, this does not have to be tonight. This could be, it's ideal for tonight, but like this energy is going to be pretty potent all week long. Okay. So I have some journal prompts to help you reflect a little bit. So if you're available, you're not driving or in the middle of something, you can write these down or just pause this and come back to it later. But number one is, what emotions have been surfacing for you lately? So if you started getting those little hints as to like what you're feeling, like maybe you've been very teary, maybe you've just been getting really annoyed, like what emotions have been starting to rear their ugly head lately? And maybe it's not negative, maybe it's positive emotions too. It doesn't have to be negative, but something wants to be shown, something, we're shining a light on something here. Okay, number two, what are you ready to release that no longer serves you? So, where do you still feel like you're being held back from stepping into your authenticity and the highest timeline for your life? Is there a certain person that you feel like you're constantly being judged or like you can't be yourself around them? Is there a situation that you feel like is coming up that's just constantly getting in the way and not allowing you to move forward? What is no longer serving you that you want to let go of today or tonight? Number three, where in your life do you need to set stronger boundaries? So, whatever's led to these pent up emotions, what led to that? Could you have put a boundary in place and protected your energy better? I think we all can probably do better on that. Number four, how can you nurture yourself and create a nice, comforting space just for you? This could be a physical space, it could be a time like every full moon, you're just gonna relax by yourself and have this little full moon ritual. But how can you more nurture and take care of yourself? Number five, what does my intuition want me to know right now? This is a big one with journaling. Just ask, what do I need to know? What am I not seeing? And see what comes through. I mean, you'll be amazed at what comes through that you weren't seeing, you weren't consciously aware of. And then last, number 6, how can you balance your need for emotional connection with your desire for achievement? So, are there things you're doing because you feel like you have to do that for success, for achievement, for whatever, and it is taking a toll on you emotionally? Probably because that's how our society is set up. We're taught we have to work really hard and be miserable and stressed in order to have success, which is such bullshit. But if that's a problem, that might be coming up for you now. So, how can you bring more balance to that and start trusting yourself, following your heart instead of doing? Like, how can you step into just being and energetically aligning versus constantly forcing and pushing? Okay, so those are some prompts that can help. And let's just let go of think of it as like emotional clutter. Could be resentment, it could be fear of taking action, any type of self doubt where you're beating yourself up, you don't trust yourself. Make space for that. And as you clear out that space, you make space for new, you make space for abundance to flow in, to step into your purpose, to have a clearer connection with your intuition. Listen to your intuition. Okay, so that inner voice, like, do you have these little nudges you've been getting, little insights that keep coming up? Stop ignoring those. Pay attention because those hold the key for what's to come next. Okay, those little nudges are like, they're like little breadcrumbs leading you down the right path, and you'll get them one by one. So pay attention to them, but then trust them and follow them. So, what nudges have you been getting or ignoring? Stop ignoring them and look deeply at them. And then just allow yourself to heal, be vulnerable, be raw, like let it all out. Don't beat yourself up for it. And know that, the full moon, I mean, think about what it does to the tides in the ocean. Your body is made up of water. It's like stirring up waves in your body. Okay. So don't beat yourself up thinking like, oh, I'm overreacting. I'm too emotional. No, you're not. Like, this is affecting everyone, whether they realize it or not, whether they say it or not. And this is the time that we're supposed to let this stuff come to the forefront and release it. And so just let yourself do that. All right. So if you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, spread around some of that moon magic and knowledge. And as we're stepping into this new path, new reality for 2025, if you're still feeling unclear, once you release everything, let go of this energy, something that can really help you gain clarity moving forward is I have 25 journal prompts specifically for this time as we're moving into the new year, into the age of Aquarius. And you can get that journal prompt with an accompanying subliminal that I recommend listening to as you're journaling, and a manifestation ritual. Don't do that with the full moon. This is like for, next week and beyond, but you can find all of that in the manifestation reset section of the Manifest It Now app. It's a brand new section. So if you feel like I just need a fresh start, I want to hit the reset button, that will help. The other new thing that I have in the Manifest It Now app is a 28-day gratitude challenge. So this is where we're using the book The Magic by Rhonda Byrne, same person that wrote The Secret. And it's kind of like a mini podcast. I have different audio episodes for all 28 days. So you'll get a new episode each day. It's just like 5 minutes. So it is something really easy to implement. But this, I do it every January because it is life changing. Like, I shit you not, miracles happen every single time I've done this. And also within that, your vibration and your mindset completely shifts. You will go from scarcity to abundance. You will go from negativity to positivity. You will go from feeling like you can't to feeling like you could do anything. It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And it's all about gratitude and how you can find so many different ways to look for gratitude everywhere. Like it's literally training your brain to be more positive, to seek out the good stuff in life so that you can manifest more good stuff. The more you focus on the good stuff, the more the good stuff keeps showing up. So it's really powerful. Like I said, I do it every January. And I figured this year, why not? Like if you want to follow along, you can find that it's under the new gratitude challenge section of the Manifest It Now app. You can find it in your app stores. You can also go to the lawofattractiontribe.com slash manifest it now app. Okay, so I guess that's all for today. I hope that everyone has a good release for the full moon and you feel like rejuvenated like a new person. And I'll see you back here for the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.